Αγαπητοί φίλοι και φίλες, καλησπέρα. Καλώς ορίσατε στην εκπομπή Υγεία και Ευεξία. Το σημερινό μας θέμα είναι το FGM, το οποίο είναι Female Genital Mutilation ή ακρωτηριασμός γυναικείων γεννητικών οργάνων. Μάλιστα θα πω ότι αυτό είναι το δεύτερο μέρος της εκπομπής. Στο πρώτο μέρος είχαμε δει ένα απόσπασμα από μια εξαιρετική ταινία και είχαμε φιλοξενήσει τον παραγωγό της ταινίας αυτής και την πρωταγωνίστρια. Σήμερα μαζί μας είναι η δόκτωρ Κατερίνα Κωνσταντίνου, η οποία θα μας ενημέρώσει περισσότερο για το θέμα αυτό. Η συνέντευξη θα γίνει στην αγγλική γλώσσα. Good evening, Katerina. It's really nice to have you again with us, and thank you for accepting my invitation once more.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me in your today's broadcast. It's a very interesting and important topic, and I'm glad to participate in your broadcast today.
Thank you. And I have to say, Dr. Katerina, that although we don't come across this in our culture, but I think it's good to know, it's good to spread the word, and awareness is so important because perhaps we might meet someone who is in danger or a victim, you know, so it's a good idea to know what we can do and how we can help them. So, shall we start with the question, what is FGM?
Of course. So FGM, or female genital mutilation, what it is basically, it's the removal, an operation on the removal of female genital organs or the external genital organs for non-medical purposes. This is really important to say. It's for non-medical purposes.
And why some communities believe it is necessary to have this, you know, is a necessary custom for the girls? Because I believe this happens in a young age. Is that correct?
Exactly, Vasula. So usually the procedure, it happens around the teenage age, usually before even a female gets into the teenage age. It starts from infancy, and usually before the age of 15, the female will have this procedure. It's very common and most common in Western Africa, countries like Libya, Somalia, even Egypt. And different communities have different beliefs for this procedure and the reason they do it. It's not for religious purposes that we could have think about it, but it's usually due to cultural beliefs. In some communities, they might feel that cutting the external organs, genital organs of a female, takes away her pleasure during sexual intercourse. It protects her virginity, and also that's before they get married, and also after getting married, it protects their fidelity to their husband. Another belief is also that it takes away the pleasure, and therefore they only go to do sexual intercourse for reproductive purposes, and not for sexual intercourse for having for enjoying.
And Dr. Katerina, what are the consequences of FGM? I mean, physical and mental consequences, because I'm sure that they do have, you know, these mental consequences as well. I mean, it's a trauma for these girls, and I believe for the rest of their life.
It is. It's a huge trauma. And if you can imagine, this is, first of all, to say that this is 100% illegal in the UK and in the European Union, as well as most developed countries. So it's an illegal procedure that happens not under medical facilities. So it's not under organized operation theater. It could happen anywhere. And that has lots of consequences, both physical and mentally, for the female. I will start with some physical consequences that might happen. So imagine a procedure in very sensitive area, not done by medical experts, under an environment that could be anywhere, not an appropriate environment, it has the risk of developing an infection, scar tissue. The woman after that might not be able to actually get pregnant. It might have pain for the rest of their life. If they get pregnant and they try to deliver the baby, they might not be able to have normal delivery because of the scar tissue that can develop around their area. And they can end up having a C-section or other operations that have more side effects and consequences. Also, even people going to the toilet, they might not be able to urinate without pain. They might have urinary incontinence. So it's a lot. It's not a simple, straightforward procedure. And of course, imagine living with this everyday symptoms and side effects has a huge impact in their mental health as well. First of all, going back to the event of the procedure, it's very painful. It can be an extreme trauma to a teenage girl in the age of 7, 8, 10, having to go through that intense pain and going through an operation that she cannot understand or appreciate why it's happening. And then for the rest of their lives, they can feel depressed, scared, not able to talk about what happened. So it's a cruel procedure.
I can imagine that they can even lose their trust towards the parents, because I believe they are taken for this procedure by the parents, perhaps mother or both parents together. So, I mean, perhaps there is no explanation to them why my parents, bringing me here to go through this.
Exactly, and it's very difficult because in some cultures they might feel that it's their duty to go through that. They might feel that all the women in my culture, in my family, in my friends, and further cycle, they go through that, so I have to go through this procedure. But that's absolutely wrong. It's against human rights, and that's something that, as you said, we might not have the experience in our communities, in Greek and Cypriot communities, for similar situations, but especially in the UK and in London, in a multicultural community, people around us might going through that. So it's important we're aware of what's happening and see if we can able to identify and help.
So how can we identify a victim, Dr. Katerina? I mean, a victim or someone that a girl could be at risk of FGM?
So usually what we say, and from the experience so far, as I said, most of these operations are not happening in the UK. So the victims usually talk about a party, about a community event that they fly back in their country to happen. So what we see is that a few females, a few girls, traveling on the same time in a Western African country, taken by their parents, and usually the way they discuss it is like a party, an event that it will involve other females. So it's something, it's difficult to identify it, but there are the cues, there are some tricks there. And some of the times they don't even know why they're going to their countries, why they're traveling back, and why that's so important at that time of the year.
So, Dr. Katerina, I know you said that it's difficult to see any signs, for a girl who is under the threat, to go through this procedure, or a victim of FGM. But let's say if we do hear, and if we see any signs, and we want to help this girl, how can we help?
I think this is a very important question, and there is support out there. Of course, how to prevent this happening, but also for the victims of FGM, people that return back to the UK after having female genital mutilation. So if we are worried, I think the most important thing to say is to speak up. Raise your concerns with someone, and there are procedures and protocols in place that we can help those people. When I'm saying to someone, there are different ways. You can speak with your local GP practice. You can speak with the police. You can speak with lots of charity organizations like UNICEF, FGM, AIDS, or even your local social services. Everyone, all those charity organizations and support services I already mentioned, they're aware of FGM. We know that it happens, and we know what are the protocols and procedure. It might be hard for a person, a citizen, not to know what to do, but this is why the professionals are already trained for it. So if you have concerns, raise it up, speak up, and you will have support from someone. You're not on your own.
Is this something that it happens often in UK? I don't know which area you practicing, but do you come across these situations often, or have you ever came across?
So the good thing to say is that fortunately it becomes very rare in our days. And I think that what helps that it becomes rarer and rarer is people being more aware of it. So awareness, public awareness is what can protect everyone from FGM, most people from FGM. So the good thing is that, no, it's not very common. And it becomes less and less common. But of course, it's, as I said, it's important because of its traumatic consequences.
So what would you do as a doctor if someone comes to the surgery and says that, oh, I'm going to go through FGM, or my mommy, my dad, said that I have to have this procedure. What can you do?
So as we have already mentioned, this is illegal in the UK, and it's a form of child abuse. So we have to take it very, very serious. First of all, we want to make sure that the person is safe. So we need to inform the social services, the Children's Safeguarding Committee, and the police. We need to, it's a very sensitive subject, so we need to be very clear about what's happening and how to protect and support the person, and sometimes even the family as well, because we don't know who is the big supporter of FGM in the family.
Have you ever come across a victim of FGM in your surgery, Dr. Katerina?
So I have once, and it was a very difficult experience for us, for me as a clinician as well, because it's, as I said, even speaking up with them about it, it's difficult. Some people, they feel, as you mentioned, they lose the trust. They're very scared, very afraid. Some people, they don't like their bodies anymore. They might not feel protected. So it's a very difficult situation.
Dr. Katerina, do you think that there is also a possibility, going back to the consequences, that during the procedure a girl can die?
It can happen, yes, of course. Because as we said, this is not happening in an operating theater, it's not under medical supervision. Anything can happen, either during the procedure or even after the procedure.
I don't know if you had the opportunity to watch the film Crushed Wings, Did you watch it?
I have, and it was a great.
So do you think it was accurate? I mean, the events, is this how it's happening, actually?
I think it was very realistic.
Yes, very excellent. So it's good, and I'm really happy that the producer, Lalit, did this film, because, as you said earlier on, awareness is very, very important, to help the victims, to prevent it, and also to show that this should not happen and especially in UK and other European countries, as you said, it's illegal. Anything else, you know, I mean, something that you would like to add before we end?
I think the most important thing is to speak up about it, not to feel ashamed. UNICEF is running a huge campaign against FGM to make people aware of it. And I think that was the purpose of this broadcast today as well. I think the more we discuss it, the victims will be able first to protect themselves and then feel that they have more support. So it's important for the public awareness.
Yes, because I think sometimes other cultures or other nationalities, they think that is acceptable by the certain cultures, you know, by the girls, you know. Of course, you know, later on in life, you know, they're trying their best to get used to it. And then they take their own children to have the procedure. But I don't think it's acceptable. I don't think they are happy with this situation. So it's good for, I mean, to do our bit to try and prevent it.
Of course, of course.
Thank you very much.
Human rights.
Exactly. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon again for, you know, to talk about another topic.
Thank you for inviting me. Have a lovely evening. Take care.
Thank you. Same to you. Αγαπητοί φίλοι και φίλες, ευχαριστούμε που παρακολούθησατε την εκπομπή μας. Εμείς θα τα πούμε και πάλι την ερχόμενη Πέμπτη. Καλό σας βράδυ.